Work with BML and MIB to further develop tourism sector and work towards environment protection and conservation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to PSM News in English. I'm your host Ahmad Imad and I'll be continuing with the details for the latest stories. Parliament endorses President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu's nominations of non-resident ambassadors to the Philippines, Spain and New Zealand. President Dr. Muizzu had nominated the Maldives High Commissioner to Malaysia, Dr. Mariam Shabina Ahmed, as the non-resident ambassador to the Philippines. Irtisham Adam was nominated by the President as the non-resident ambassador to France. Irtisham currently serves as the Maldives High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. Mohamed Louwais, who serves as the High Commissioner to Singapore, was nominated as the non-resident High Commissioner to New Zealand. The Parliamentary Foreign Relations Committee had earlier signed off on all three nominations and recommended endorsement. The Parliament, during its sitting on Wednesday, endorsed all three nominations with 54 lawmakers voting in favour. In accordance with the Foreign Service Act, the President is required to secure parliamentary approval prior to appointing ambassadors and high commissioners to the nation's foreign missions. The government holds extensive discussions with a premier Turkey university to collaborate and enhance food security in the Maldives. The discussions were held by Minister of Agriculture and Animal Welfare Dr. Mariam Maria during a virtual meeting with the rector Necdet Unuva and team members of Ankara University, joined by the Maldives ambassador to Turkey Abdurrahim Abdulatif. The Ministry of Agriculture said this discussion focused on enhancing food security in the Maldives through collaborative research, innovation and training in crop and livestock production, as well as agro-processing. Ankara University's expertise in these areas is well recognized, along with its veterinary faculty, established in 1842, which offers comprehensive programs in veterinary medicine and animal sciences. The faculty includes specialized departments such as animal breeding and nutrition, aiming to advance research and education in animal health and production. According to the ministry, this collaboration is expected to bolster the Maldives agricultural sector, focusing on sustainable practices and food security. The government has recently launched Oluhia, a shelter set up to care for stray cats on the streets of Male City. The shelter was developed on a 5,000 square foot plot in Hulu 4. The Oluhia facility is equipped with a quarantine area, a veterinary clinic and a laboratory, as well as pharmacy stocked with medicines for cats and designated living spaces for animals. The government engages in deliberations aimed at increasing the contributions of the Bank of Maldives BML and the Maldives Islamic Bank MIB towards the further development of the tourism sector and the protection and conservation of the environment.
Minister of Tourism and Environment Tariq Ibrahim held a series of discussions with Muhammad Sharif, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer CEO of BML, and Mufaddal Idris Kumri, the CEO and Managing Director of MIB, aimed at enhancing bank contributions in those sectors. During his meeting with BML Chief Sharif, Minister Tariq underscored the tourism sector as the cornerstone of the nation's economy, underlining BML's vital support role. He also addressed the importance of environmental protection and sustainability initiatives spearheaded by the administration. Sharif responded by reaffirming the bank's unwavering commitment to both the tourism sector and environmental initiatives. He revealed that BML is contemplating the introduction of a loan facility specifically targeting these areas. Minister Tariq and BML CEO Sharif reached a consensus on the necessity of collaborative efforts to advance both tourism and environmental conservation. They also pledged to support small and medium enterprise development. In a separate discussion with MIB Chief Kumri, Minister Thorik highlighted the critical role of the private sector in supporting the administration's development goals for the tourism sector and requested additional support from MIB to achieve these objectives. Speaking at the meeting, Kumri expressed the bank's enthusiasm for investing in the tourism sector and assured the Minister of MIB's commitment to financing environmental protection and conservation efforts. Both BML and MIB leaders agreed to collaborate with the Tourism and Environment Ministry to support initiatives aimed at tourism development and environmental protection. The meetings also explored strategies to accelerate the nation's economic growth, according to the ministry.
The government commissions the construction of a technical and vocational education and training TVET Center and a Danal, or student accommodation facility in Kurdufushi Hadal Atoll, as well as another student accommodation facility in Duafar Atoll. These projects, overseen by the Ministry of Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development, are critical components of the administration's broader initiative to enhance higher education infrastructure nationwide. A ceremonial event marked the official handover of these projects to two state-owned enterprises. The Road Development Corporation (RDC) will lead the development of the TVET Center, while Fenaka Corporation, a utilities provider, will oversee the construction of the student accommodation in Duafar. The TVET Center project in Kurdufushi includes the establishment of student accommodation, ensuring students have access to comprehensive facilities. Similarly, the student accommodation project in Duafar encompasses the development of a training area. Higher Education Ministry said these initiatives aim to provide higher education and vocational training courses of varying standards. The projects are crucial for the industrial sector, focusing on equipping individuals with the necessary skills for employment in these fields. According to the ministry, a land area of 35,777 square feet has been designated for the TVET Center in Kurdufushi. The facility will include a multipurpose workshop, 7 classrooms, an information communication technology ICT laboratory, administration and staff areas, dedicated spaces for student services, an auditorium, study rooms, meeting rooms, and a library. The accompanying student accommodation will provide 32 shared rooms, meal provisions through a kitchen and dining area, laundry services, and a sitting area with recreational activities, including a gymnasium. Additional amenities will include toilets, prayer rooms, lifts, and other essential facilities. According to the ministry, a 15,000 square foot land area has been allocated for the training area and student accommodation in Duafar. This facility will include 31 shared rooms, kitchen and dining areas, laundry services, and sports and entertainment facilities for the students. The government reveals plans to develop a coconut development center in Ariadu Aliftal Atoll as part of the national initiative to revive coconut palm population in the Maldives. Following the decision by the Ministerial Cabinet, Ariadu has been placed under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Welfare. Under the initiative, a coconut development center will be established in the island, along with nurseries to cultivate high-quality coconut palms to provide a sustainable supply of certified varieties of coconuts to the islands. According to the ministry, the facilities planned for the island will also work towards ensuring food security and cultivation of coastal plants and shrubbery. The ministry will also launch adaptive research in Ariadu to identify coconut palm diseases and find solutions, including the exploration of biological control methods. The government will be seeking foreign investors to provide technical and financial assistance to establish the center in Ariadu. The operational and management cost of managing this village will be covered through the investment. The population of coconut palm in most areas of the Maldives is facing an aging crisis, with many trees past their peak productivity. The Coconut Palm Revival Initiative is aimed at reversing the decline and aid efforts to ensure food security in the country. US President Donald Trump's increased tariffs on steel and aluminum imports takes effect as prior exemptions Duty-free quotas and product exclusions expired as his campaign to reorder global trade norms in favor of the US stepped up.
Trump's action to bulk up protections for American steel and aluminum producers restores effective global tariffs of 25% on all imports of the metals and extends the duties to hundreds of downstream products made from the metals, from nuts and bolts to bulldozer blades and soda cans. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency cut off imports qualifying for duty-free entry under quota arrangements well before the midnight deadline, saying in a bulletin to shippers that quota paperwork needed to be processed by 4:30 p.m. local time on March 11th at U.S. ports of entry, or the full tariffs would be charged. The move was welcomed by U.S. steel producers as restoring Trump's original 2018 metals tariffs that had been weakened by numerous country exclusions and quotas and thousands of product-specific exclusions. The countries most affected by the tariffs are Canada, the biggest foreign supplier of steel and aluminum to the U.S., Brazil, Mexico, and South Korea, which have all enjoyed some level of exemptions or quotas.
Highlight the negative impacts on Americans and Canadians of these unacceptable tariffs. We'll also be working with our international partners and friends, and if it comes to that, our response, of course, will be firm and clear.
China remains the number 2 supplier of aluminium and goods made from aluminium, but already faces high tariffs to counteract alleged dumping and subsidies, as well as a new 20% tariff that Trump has imposed over the past month over fentanyl tracking.
Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Jio signed a deal with Elon Musk's SpaceX to bring Starlink satellite internet services to India, a surprise move from the billionaires after being at odds for months over how the country should grant them spectrum.
India's largest telecom operator will stock Starlink equipment in its retail stores, giving Starlink a direct distribution point in thousands of such outlets across the country. Musk and Ambani had fought intensely over how airwaves should be assigned for satellite internet, with the New Delhi finally siding with the allocation approach the US billionaire lobbied for. Ambani's Reliance had been concerned that Musk could dominate the telecom space once he launched his products, but the distribution deal will eventually see the Indian billionaires offering his rivals products in the fast-growing market while also competing with them. The Reliance deal follows a similar partnership announcement between Starlink and India's number 2 telecom player Bharti Airtel a day before. Both the Airtel and Jio deals are conditional upon Starlink obtaining government approval to begin operations in the country. The agreements come weeks after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with Musk in Washington, where they discussed issues including space, mobility, technology, and innovation. Starlink has been waiting since 2022 for licenses to operate commercially in India, with no clear timeline yet on a decision. It has been delayed for reasons including national security concerns. Jio Platforms, which runs Reliance Jio, will also provide installation and activation support for the Starlink devices. The stakes are high for Musk in India, where he also recently signed a deal for the first Tesla showroom to sell its imported electric cars.
Egyptian drivers of trucks carrying aid for Gaza are spending their Ramadan days stranded on the road, waiting in the North Sinai city of Arish after Israel blocked the entry of aid through the borders.
Before iftar time, drivers open lids in their trucks to use them as tables to cook and have their meals. They yearn to spend the Muslim fasting month among their families. Yet they said their only wish was to deliver the food they have in their trucks so Palestinians can also have their iftar. The first phase of a fragile Gaza ceasefire ended on March 1st. Israel has since imposed a total blockade on all goods entering the enclave, demanding that Hamas free the remaining hostages without beginning the negotiations to end the Gaza war.
Yemen's Houthis say that they will attack any Israeli ship that violates the group's ban on Israeli ships passing through the Red and Arabian Seas, the Bab el-Mandab Strait, and the Gulf of Aden, effective immediately.
In a televised statement, Houthi military spokesperson Yahya Sarriya said all Israeli ships that violate the ban will be targeted, if Israel fails to lift a blockade of aid into Gaza within 4 days. He said any Israeli ship attempting to break the ban will be targeted, and the ban will continue until the reopening of the crossings to the Gaza Strip and the entry of aid and necessary food and medicine. The Houthis, who control most of Yemen, have staged more than 100 attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea since November 2023 in solidarity with Palestinians over Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza.
Manchester United announced its ambition to build Britain's largest stadium next to the current Old Trafford for a cost of £2 billion.
Since becoming a minority shareholder in February last year, the British billionaire has been outspoken about his desire to create a new, state-of-the-art Wembley of the North. The club has considered the possibility of redeveloping the current stadium, which has been home to the team since 1910, or building a new one. Manchester United co-owner Jim Ratcliffe said in a statement, "Today marks the start of an incredibly exciting journey towards delivering what will be the world's greatest football stadium at the centre of a revitalised Old Trafford." In September, Manchester United commissioned Foster Partners to develop a plan for a new 100,000-seater stadium that will underpin the UK government's regeneration project in South Manchester.
Guatemala, the country most prone to risk of disaster in Latin America, is poised to revolutionize its emergency relief efforts with a disaster-proof communication system.
Called DroneBots, the system can transmit real-time data during disasters, independent of satellite or mobile connectivity and the internet.
I would describe the DroneBots project as a drone and technological system that allows authorities to send and receive the information without the use of internet. This is especially useful because during an emergency, the communication network are usually the first ones to go out.
The system was developed by local agricultural drone startup Aerobots to get data back to 8 agency headquarters from remote regions that often lack stable electricity and internet. Their solution uses LoRa, or long range, a wireless radio technology that allows devices to communicate over low-power wide area networks.
It's sort of a backup communication system. Essentially, during disasters, at least in Guatemala, we depend on either physical communication systems, that is like roads, or we depend on wireless communication systems like the telephone network, but those are usually among the first that become damaged in a natural disaster. So the system that we developed is sort of a backup to that. We use other technology to transmit information, and it also helps us to get information from the location of a disaster to disaster relief agents in a quicker way.
DroneBots establish a vital communication network between decision makers, drone operators, and local volunteers, serving as a crucial lifeline when traditional networks fail. The system demonstrated its potential during a successful test at the National Coordinator for Disaster Reduction, or CONRED, facilities. Test results show that DroneBots can speed up the delivery of information to emergency responders by 80%. First trialed in 2023 by the UNICEF Office of Innovation, the project is now working with CONRED, aiming to expand the deployment of DroneBots to 8 of Guatemala's poorest and most vulnerable regions.
And that's all we have for you right now. Thank you for tuning into PSM News. Wish you a pleasant day ahead.